Good evening. The time is now 5:30, and I will call to order the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees for March 21st. If you will please stand with me for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance to the flags. Thank you. At this time, we will move to Agenda Item 2, Presentation, Recognitions, Awards, and Announcements, and our presenter is Ms. Elena Ladd. Board, if you will join me to the front of the dais.
Good evening, trustees. As you come around, I wanted to let y'all know that March is a really special month for the arts. March is actually Music in Our Schools Month, Theater in Our Schools Month, and Youth Art Month. So tonight we have several of our very talented both students and arts educators here with us tonight. So first I'm going to invite onto the stage the students who are advancing to the state level Reflections competition and are recipients of the Midland Council of PTA's Overall Award of Excellence. So first up is River McClure of Santa Rita Elementary. Florence Nadapraja of Carver Center. Jackson Hill, also of Carver Center. Grace Snow of San Jacinto. Sadie Dockery of Avell. Camber Smith of Legacy. And J.C. Dockery of Legacy as well. Okay. Thank you. Next up, we are going to recognize both Legacy and Midland High students who qualified for All-State Choir and Band. These students represent the best in high school musicianship in all of the state of Texas, and we are very lucky to have so many of them here in Midland ISD. So please step forward when I call your name. Isabel Calderon. Estefania Catalan. Jordan Dada. Abraham Davalos. Jasmine Ortega. Caitlin Rhodes. And their instructor, Legacy Choir Director, Dr. Rivera. get together. Harmonize. Come on. Next, I would like to invite to the stage Riley Kitch. And Midland High Band Director, Mr. Collins. Finally, it is my pleasure to recognize one of our students tonight whose artwork is advancing to the 2022 Visual Arts Scholastic Event state level competition. We actually have numerous students from across the district whose artwork was exceptional enough to meet this level and go to the state competition. And so we're going to be recognizing them over the next several meetings. Tonight we have Callie Hawkins from Midland High. Please give her a round of applause. And joining her are instructors Adriana Dominguez and Eric Vickery, also from Midland High. Thank you so much. The arts enrich our lives in so many ways, and we really appreciate all the students and families who came out tonight to be recognized.
Do want to recognize, as these people clear the stage, all of the great things going on in MISD right now. We've had the pleasure of having a pep rally over at Coleman High School this last week, recognizing two students that were advancing to nationals. Our debate team are doing great. It's just been a great year. There's so many things I can't even tell you all of them right now, but we do have some special guests here tonight. The Midland College EDU 1301 students are here tonight observing our board meetings so that they learn the function of the board. So we want to welcome you guys. Oh, over here. Thank you for being here tonight. The time is now 5:39, and we will move to public forum, and we have two speakers. The first speaker I have is Matt Galindo, and Mr. Galindo will speak about South and Midland freshman water issues. Welcome, Mr. Galindo.
Board President Murray, Dr. Ramsey, board, appreciate you. Okay, Heather, appreciate you giving me the time to speak to y'all. What y'all have there is a document that I got from the opened record request, and that's from Midland freshmen. It's been about 6 months since we started meeting, and what we're wanting to do is get this verified that the issues have actually been taken care of. We know that the water fountains there have, but as you see on there, Midland freshmen, there are certain areas where the lead levels are almost nearly 4 times over the EPA standards. And so we're asking that the district would take care of that. So we were meeting since September up until now, and nothing has ever really come from that. So what we requested was for folks to get back into South, to get into Midland Freshman, to get those water, those water samples and to get it tested, make sure that everything's good and we don't have anything to worry about. It's been 6 months, nothing ever happened, so I turned to the city and asked for the city's help, and that happened last week. We turned that over, so the city is now aware of this, giving you all that information. However, on Thursday, whenever we gave them this information, the same day and just shortly after the city was informed of this, the PR person for the company that I work with was contacted by Miss Elena Ladd, left a message regarding the water donation that I helped set up, not the company, but me, myself, with HEB. In one of the schools, we donated 3 pallets of water. We were able to get them water in September. October, November, December, and January was never an issue. The school reached out to me. This district did not. The school reached out. We gave them another pallet of water. There was no issue then. It became an issue on Thursday whenever the city contacted. So Ms. Elena Ladd, she contacted our PR rep. First she contacted me because there was a message left in an email to want to know what was going on. I informed her that it had nothing to do with the company that I work for. It was me. It was what I was doing outside of work and being involved in the community and with these schools. So Dr. Ramsey, this is an issue. It was an issue for me because we're trying to serve and we're trying to help. And it was never an issue. It was never an issue that we had water, that we donated water, that we were helping the schools out. But when the city got involved, it became an issue. So much of an issue that the district contacted my place of employment to say, hey, there's not a water issue. We've never requested anything. The district never requested water. The district, you're right, it didn't, but the school did. And it's done it twice and will continue to do that. This is very disappointing. If the district wants to get messy, by all means, that's on y'all. I have nothing to do. I don't want to get messy. If that's the way y'all want to handle things, so be it. But we're going to continue to pour into those kids. We're going to continue to go in and mentor. We're going to continue to meet the needs of these schools. But I need y'all to understand what happened that day is not okay. To contact my employers, to let them know that the information that was given is incorrect, when they have no idea what's even happening because they're not involved with it. It's me that did it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Galindo.
Thank you.
Yes. So we can't have a discussion, but I do want to clarify one fact that Mr. Galindo and I had spoke with over the weekend was the fact that the reason why Elena Ladd spoke with the person over at, was it ProPetro, was because the city informed us that ProPetro was giving a donation. It was not in any way, shape, or form about Mr. Galindo because his name was never mentioned. And so that was the specific reason why they were mentioned. And Ms. Ladd reached out to the same person of her equal stature at ProPetro to find out about the donation because we didn't know anything about it coming forward. So I appreciate you speaking tonight, Mr. Galindo, and we look forward to getting results soon as they're being scheduled now for a follow-up with the water samples with Ms. Spencer's office. So thank you. The next speaker will be Courtney Ratliff, and he will speak on Coleman High School, South Elementary, and the teacher stipend. Welcome, Mr. Ratliff.
Dr. Ramsey, Mr. Pounds, board, greetings. I have 3 different topics to cover, and I'll try to use my 3 minutes effectively. First off, I want to talk about teacher stipends. A teacher approached me with an issue. They had been, their child is involved in school in the MISD child care program. Their classroom was exposed and had someone that was out. Or someone who was exposed to COVID. They were forced as a whole class to quarantine. As a result, they had to be at home to take care of the child. The teacher's wife took care of that for most of the day, but there was one day where the teacher himself had to be out and take care of this. As a result of that absence, that teacher lost their stipend. As I understand, you all have been emailed and you all have had correspondence about this. They told me that that 3 people have reached back out to them, and to the 3 of you, I really appreciate that. And what I reminded him is it takes 4 to make any changes happen. So I do want to make sure that we're all aware of this, and that we all do everything that we can to make sure that our teachers are taken care of in every single way, especially when they have to deal with issues outside of their scope of capability. We need to make sure that we take care of our teachers. Second, I want to talk about the fantastic young ladies at Coleman. I really hope that they will be here to share that book with everyone. I know several of you were in attendance on Friday for that event, and as I understand, Dr. Ramsey, you met with those young ladies as well. Their book, Missing Pieces, is just fantastic, and it really speaks to the entire concept of Coleman High School, because that is a school made out of the missing pieces. The reason why I bring all of this up to you is because I hope that we not only as a district will fund those 2 members going to the national competition, national, not state. We don't have a lot of MISD students that are representing our district. So this is at a national level, but not only send those 2 students, but send their entire team, because this was a team effort. I also hope that we would sponsor and send all of the teachers who have been involved in that process, because it's really important for Coleman as a whole to understand that our entire district is behind them and wants to see their well-being. Finally, with my last few seconds, I just want to reiterate everything that Mr. Galindo was saying. There are still water issues, and we can't ignore them. We can't sweep them under the rug for the sake of PR. So we really need to make sure that we're taking care of everything that we need to, that you all are being the best stewards of education that you possibly can be. And those are my 3 topics. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ratliff. And I do want to add on to your comments. The book Misplaced Pieces by the 2 students over at Coleman was very powerful. If you sit there and listen to them read it and show the illustrations, it was just an awesome experience to be there and be in person to hear that. So they are doing great work, and I will say Ms. Romero continues to move from Legacy over to Coleman and continues to do great work. But she reached out to me the day that they won and asked, when can we get these ladies in front of the school board? And we are working on that, so they will be here to be recognized. So thank you, Mr. Ratliff. The next thing on our agenda is item 4, the consent agenda. Item 4A, board meeting minutes. Item 4B, monthly financials. Item 4C, annual audit engagement letter. Item 4D, contracts over $100,000. Item 4E, quarterly budget amendment. Item 4F, request for qualifications, number 21-91, addendum 1 to real estate services. Item 4G, clarification of 2022 E-rate recommendation. Item 4H, personnel appointments. And item 4I, 2022-2023 board meeting schedule. Board members, are there any items from the consent that need to be pulled? Hearing none, we will deem the consent agenda approved. Next item on the agenda is item 5, district presentations, which I don't believe we have any. So the time is now 5:49. And we will go to item 6, which is a public hearing, 2020-2021 annual performance report. Dr. Cuellar. Oh, Ms. Martinez, welcome to the podium.
Good evening, Board President Murray, Superintendent Ramsey, Board of Trustees, and Mr. Pounds. I'm here tonight to provide an overview of our district's annual performance report for the 2020-21 school year. Because this report is a year-end review report, I would like to make note that much of this information has already been presented and discussed in previous presentations throughout the school year, and the corresponding actions for improvement were taken when we initially received the information from the state. The annual performance report includes various pieces of data that has been compiled together by the state of Texas to close out the previous school year, 2020-2021. Every district in the state is required by the state of Texas to provide an end-of-year status report for the previous school year within 90 days of the release of the Texas Academic Performance Report, or TAPER, which was released in December. The December release date follows the date for which accountability rating appeals were finalized. So any changes to the accountability ratings could be noted in the report. I would like to reiterate that the purpose of today's presentation is to allow the board and the community the opportunity to understand the availability of this detailed report and provide information as to where the report could be accessed. So the Texas Education Code 39306 does require each district's Board of Trustees to publish and widely disseminate an annual performance report. All of the information that's presented here tonight, along with their corresponding reports, will be placed on our MISD website under the accountability section, and the administration building will also have hard copies for viewing upon request. Also, on top of this, every campus also has a copy of their report at the campus that can be requested, and it's also posted on every individual campus's webpage. Again, hard copies are available upon parent and community request. The first required component of the annual performance report is the district's accreditation status. Outlined in this slide, you're going to see that our first rating for 2020-21 school year was given an A superior rating. The first rating, or the School Finance Integrity Rating System of Texas, ensures that Texas public schools are held accountable for the quality of their financial management practices. Again, as seen here, MISD has received an A superior rating in this area. In terms of our accountability system, we have received a not rated declared state of disaster this past school year, along with every other school district in the state of Texas. The same was true the year prior, 2019-2020 school year. As you can see on this slide, in 2018-2019, MISD did receive a C rating in this particular area. The following element of the annual performance report is the district's special education status. The special education determination status is the district's current special education compliance status with the Texas Education Agency. MISD's 2021 determination status is that of needs assistance. This determination is a step forward for MISD, as we have strived for success in special education and are beginning to see the fruits of our labor. For special education only, determination levels 2 through 4 require corrective action plans with the Texas Education Agency. The Special Services Department has reviewed the 11 areas with determination levels of 2 and 3, developed a needs assessment and a root cause analysis based on this information. The team then developed corrective actions this school year to address the root causes that they found. The district has tracked improvement in all of these areas and does expect to see the required improvement for the 2022 RDA determination status of meets requirement. Meets requirement is the highest determination status the district can achieve in special education. It is important to note here that this determination status is the closest one that the district has achieved to attaining the meets requirement in over 10 years. Over the course of the last 2 years, the district has seen significant improvement in this area. Also included in the annual report are the campus performance objectives. During the November board meeting that was held in 2020, the board approved campus improvement plans for all of our schools, which included the objectives campuses worked to achieve last school year. These have been updated to reflect the needs of the current school year and can be found in this school year's district. The updated plans, however, can be found in this school year's district and campus improvement plans, which you approved in October of 2021. One of the things that our district has really been focused on this year is to provide training and support to our principals and our district leaders in order to refine our processes and have a much deeper and better understanding of how to develop very strategic and targeted and high leverage goals that are aligned to our district improvement plan and also aligned to our Lone Star governance goals and aligned to a lot of the data that you will see presented here tonight. That process is ongoing, and we continue to work to refine that. The next component of the report includes information about violent or criminal incidents that occur on each campus. Again, this data is reflective of the 2020-2021 school year. The chart provides total counts of violent and criminal incidents that occurred in the 2020-2021 school year. This information is used by the Texas Education Agency to identify campuses in the state that are considered a persistently dangerous school. As of the most recent information available by TEA and the methodology for identification, none of our campuses at MISD were identified as persistently dangerous. The next section of the report is the students' performance in post-secondary institutions report produced annually by the Higher Education Coordinating Board. This report provides information on student performance in post-secondary institutions during the first year enrolled after graduation from high school. These are graduates from the 2018-2019 school year who enrolled in a Texas institution of higher learning. So students who went out of the state would be included in the not found portion of the report. Student performance is measured by the grade point average, which is calculated using the grade points and college level semester credit hours earned by a student in the fall of 2019, spring of 2020, and summer of 2020, where they were added together and averaged to determine their GPA. Another important component of the Texas Academic Performance Report, or TAPER, which was recently released. The TAPER provides various student performance data along with staff and student demographic information to provide an overall profile of the school and the school district. Much of the information that is provided here in TAPER gives information about subject and grade level information for the percent of students at the approaches, the meets, and the master's level performance. In previous school board meetings and school board workshops, we have discussed the various impacts that have been seen across the state and the nation when it comes to academic performance, specifically talking about the pandemic impacts that we've seen across the districts. This particular slide here shows STAR achievement data for all subjects combined at the approaches, meets, and master's level performance for the 2020-2021 school year. It is important to note here that our district has outperformed the region in each of these areas. And one other thing to note is that we are making strides in closing the ground with the gaps that we've seen between the state and the district performance. This chart here, it is a little busy. It does provide a lot of information regarding all of our student groups performing at the meets, grade level or above, by content and again, student group. Throughout the school year, again, when we report to you on Lone Star governance, specifically that annual end-of-year goal, we do break it down by student groups, but this is just another report that you could look at to dissect and look to see how MISD is faring in comparison to the state, again, on the 2020-2021 STAR assessment. Along with your STAR scores, The taper does provide information on graduation and college and career readiness indicators. Here you can see that MISD's four-year graduation rate for the cohort class of 2020 remains very close with the state graduation rate and is outperforming the region average by 3%. As you can see here, again, COVID has had a significant impact seen in our community. When you look specifically at the annual CCMR graduates, you do see that there is that gap there in terms of how MISD is doing in comparison to the state. Between House Bill 3 and Lone Star governance, the district has created plans and we have established goals as part of our continuous improvement efforts in these particular areas. In addition to the highlights that I've just provided you, the taper provides additional performance measures and indicators dealing with state assessment, along with the additional measures such as attendance, post-secondary readiness, and staff and student demographic information. Again, here is some of the information that you and the public can find on this taper report, which breaks down the student demographics in comparison to what they look like across the state. The following slide looks at teachers and years of experience. Again, the taper provides various pieces of information with regard to staff. This particular one focuses on number of years of experience. And the final required element of the annual performance report does deal with finance, annual performance review. The PEAMS financial standard report required for this presentation includes financial data from the 2020-2021 school year. We did provide the full report for you in your board packet. Mr. Darrell Dodds and his team does do a great job throughout the year to keep the board informed and the public informed on financial information. But again, the team is here in case there are any specific questions regarding the report. So now that I've completed all of this, and I know that that was pretty quick and it's a lot of information, are there any questions or anything any comments from the board?
Board members, do we have any questions? Okay, Mr. Trischetti.
On the slide for report on violent or criminal incidents, and you may not be able to answer this, the chief may have to, the less than is just what the state wanted to capture, I'm sure, is the number that they would like. I don't think I'm by myself in thinking that even one used, exhibited, or possessed firearm is more than we would like. I'm glad that, our incident rate is as low as where it is, but can we get a report of what that number actually is for our district as opposed to a greater than, less than?
I can work with Dr. Ramsey to provide you specific numbers on that. I can tell you that those varied. A couple were 0, a couple had a number just less than 5. But yes, I will work with Dr. Ramsey on that.
And then just, no surprise from me, this is a dead horse, but on the PEAMS, on the last slide, if you look at that middle column per student for the district, what we actually get to use is the $10,747. What our community should be benefiting from if we didn't have Robin Hood is $15,902. And I just want to highlight that for the community so there is a full understanding. And if I'm wrong, Mr. Dodds, correct me, but
Or is it really 17,054?
there's a significant discrepancy is the point of that slide for me, is that we are giving up a lot of local tax dollars that are not directly benefiting local students. So just wanted that highlighted in the report. That's all my questions, Mr. Chairman.
Any others?
I have just a couple. Going back to
Ms. Joyner.
the special education determination status, this is something that I'm learning. So when you talk about I understand when we have the 3 tiers, for STAR, and you said the needs assistance is an improvement. Can you outline what what the tiers are? Because you said we're close to getting to the meets requirement, but just so I understand what the bar is, that'd be great.
Yes, and I will have Mrs. Jennifer Warren come up here and give you specificity around that.
Thank you. When we look at the determination levels for each of the 34 areas, it's an average of the areas to determine your status. So if you go in and look at history, we start in 2012, 13, and 14, where we were below above a determination level 4, which means we've improved that much.
How many levels are there?
4.
There's 4.
Yes.
You started at the lowest level at 4 in 2012.
2012, we were
Okay.
actually, for 3 years in a row, on-site visits from TEA for noncompliance in special education.
Okay.
So then going into 2015 and 16, we went to determination level 3, which is still a corrective action plan, but not with an on-site visit. Then in 17, back to a 4, 18 and 19, determination level 3, corrective action plan, no on-site visit. 2020, because we didn't have STAR reported from the year before, we didn't have a determination level status, but they said that we met requirements, which is skewed data, because we really didn't have that growth measure to look at. So when we look at our determination level 2 of needs assistance, that's a huge improvement that we should celebrate. And we are on track to get to a determination level 1 or 0, which is no corrective action plan.
Okay, great. That's what I was trying to understand, is where we kind of started or are and headed. So, thank you. And then my other question goes back to the slide talking about our high school graduates and where they've gone after they leave MISD. So just so I understand, we're saying that out of, for instance, at Legacy, 625 students, we only had 91 students go to a 4-year college, or 211. It just doesn't seem like very big numbers, and we leave out the college, career, and military status. I mean, that's only one portion of the 3. So I'm just trying to understand that number. It seems low to me.
So the number reported there is based on, it's difficult to collect that, and it's after the fact. If they've reported back, if they've enrolled in a Texas school, they've definitely count in that number. So that 90 kids was students that actually entered a 4-year university after they graduated within the first semester. It has to be, it can't be the next year or after. So if they enrolled immediately. Difference, though, being that number doesn't really affect the other data you saw in the CCMAR indicators, because that's a whole 10 different indicators. So.
Right. Okay, so, but you're saying that for the 2-year and the 4-year, we're only looking at Texas schools?
So when they go to outside of Texas, it is possible that they get reported, but most likely not, because Texas has the Higher Education Board that reports that to TEA, and there's no system that counts that if they go to MIT or to Harvard.
Okay, and so what we are seeing here could actually be under-reporting of success,
Yes, ma'am, it could be. I mean, I
We're
know
not
for a
saying
fact
it is
we had
or
a kid go
isn't,
to
but-
Harvard. We had 2 kids go to Harvard over those,
Yes.
over that single class for sure. So
okay, well, that clarifies that, and then, let me just see if there was anything else. That was it. Thank you.
I've got one for you. Sorry for you to sit down, but just on the early college, high school, since most of those kids receive a 2-year degree, we've been very successful at that. How does that actually reflect? Because it shows a low number too, and I don't know if it's because we can't count them or we do count them, or how does that work?
So for the class of 2020, which was they were juniors during COVID shutdown, we did see a decrease. So we're proud of the fact that we've been 96% or higher for the graduation rate completing their associates for many, many years. However, the class of 2020, we saw a dip in that, and there were students that did not finish their associates by the time they graduated as a senior with us. So they enrolled at, say, Midland College or another university to finish out that associate's degree. Many of those kids, we had some number of kids that had only 6 hours that went on immediately in the summer and enrolled at Midland College. So those kids would be reported in that, say, that number that went on to a 2-year university. So that may not be exactly the question you asked, but I'll be glad to continue to elaborate.
No, that's good. And then my other questions for Mr. Dodds.
Mr. Turner, before you sit down, let me ask one more. You're on the hot seat.
So ready to sit down.
On the graph that shows the 2020 annual CCMR grads, and I asked this one because this is the only one where we felt we fall behind the region by 12% and then the state by almost 20%. How do we go about tracking where we are on the CCMR? Because I know there's been a lot of work put into getting certificates and that sort of thing, but how do we catch this up?
So there are 10 ways that you can meet that CCMR criteria to be able to be in that percentage. All 10 of those have to be really focused on. What I can tell you is that we talked a little bit about the COVID slide. What you see there is we've had a continued challenge with not being at the state rate with CCMR, and that's been a historical trend that we've been trying to address, which resulted in our CCMR strategic plan that the board approved last November of 20, that is, because we kept seeing that focus. Those 10 components continue to have to be a focus, and what we saw was the state did not drop the state did drop, but not as much as MISD did as a result of COVID. So the gap got bigger as a result of that graduating class. So there are some key areas that we're focusing on that really are big wins for us. By the way, there's a lot of things to brag on. We had a higher certificate rate for the college certificates for CTE. We had a higher IBC rate than we've had. We actually had a higher dual credit rate and higher associates rate. Where we are short in is really the TSIA piece. That's the Texas Success Initiative, which accounts for the English and the math testing on TSI, ACT, and SAT. That is a significant difference in what we've seen for this year. One of the tools that we brought in, for example, would be dinner intercession. We specifically focused on Princeton Review in the fall with about 250 kids. 200 some odd kids went to Princeton Review in order to support that ACT, SAT component. The other side is in the TSI test, which is the college entrance test that you have to have for dual credit if you don't have ACT and SAT, we've had a really good focus on ELA. We've not had a really good focus on math. And the component has to actually be both. For one kid to be CCR met, you have to be both ELA and math to meet that indicator. We have a high percentage or on state average percentage of ELA. We have significantly lower percentage in math. So math, TSI has got to be a continued focus for us.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Sorry, getting the weeds there.
Mr. Dodds? Mr. Marquez?
So recapture. So I just want to bring more, I feel like more clarity to it, but so recapture, in your opinion, I mean, when does it go away?
Not until they change the formulas the way that they have it set up right now.
So the state of Texas would.
So I don't see it going away, but
it's ingrained in law.
Yes.
And the only change to it would be that the state government of Texas would have to vote the law out and put a new law in?
Yes, they would have changed how funding is allocated towards schools for that to change.
And is
And I'm talking about the legislators, so yes. Yeah.
So, and correct me if I'm wrong on this statement portion of it, but is it still true that the funding portion of how we actually do funding has been declared, what's the proper word?
It was in the
Unconstitutional
past,
or-
it was inequitable, and that since, I believe, the last two sessions, they've addressed that to make equity more across the state as far as per pupils revenue for each school. That's one of the reasons for recapture. When they feel like you have excess revenue, they want that sent back so they can redistribute it to other school districts. The problem with that is, in the top four schools, which are Austin ISD, Houston ISD, Plano ISD, and Midland ISD, out of the four of the top schools that do pay recapture, we repay over $1 billion back to the state in recapture. Now, for Midland ISD, that equals to anywhere, it fluctuates from year to year, but it's around 140 to 150 million each year.
Mr. Dodds, of the four, sorry, Robert, I was just going to ask, of the four that pay in, are we the highest recapture in the state?
No, Austin is.
we're number
Austin, we're fourth in the list.
Okay.
Austin pays a bulk of that at over $700 million is just Austin ISD.
Okay, thank you for the question.
We definitely are a smaller school district on scale of those school districts.
So, every time we discuss this, it's obviously
It's a very
topic,
sore subject with every
It's a very
school
sore
district that
subject,
has to pay recapture, yes.
but it goes nowhere in a sense because the only change to it would be that the legislator would have to take action and change the way the funding is done where it doesn't impact us with the formula, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so with that said, the reason I'm bringing this up because I feel like even though it's an issue with our district, obviously, I mean, I'm just voicing my opinion for the district here, but we as a district, we still have to work on what we have coming to us and then obviously do the best job we can with the funds that we receive. And so I'm saying that because I want our public to know that even though we feel we're challenged in the sense of the way the funding formula has been drawn up or allocated, that I feel that MISD is doing a great job with the funds that we do have so we can, educate our kids here in Midland ISD.
Right.
So,
30% of our budget goes back to recapture, so.
And I would like to say, Mr. Dodge, to you and your team, it's a shining star that we have the superior rating for our fiscal accountability.
Kudos.
So kudos on that. So thank you for
I'll give all the
managing it.
credit to the team. They do a great job and couldn't ask for a better team than what Midland ISD has.
Well, we appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
well, and here recently, we've been having, I know there's been several meetings held at different schools, and when we had one at South, I got the opportunity to talk mostly with the staff, but, it's, people don't realize that there's a lot of work that goes in to from everybody to reach a consensus level with yourself, and then you're dealing mostly with the money, and they're dealing mostly with education. So everybody's got needs, and that's the stuff that people don't see behind the scenes, and probably, everybody, it's one of them things that probably people are like, who cares, in a sense, you know what I mean? But that process, the process that you are doing, it's bringing a lot of value to MISD, and Dr. Ramsey working with the team to maximize that. I think it's been very impressive. I think it's something that gets overlooked a lot, because we talk a lot about academics, but in order to get those academics fulfilled per se, you got to be financially strong, and I think you guys do a great job. So,
Well, thank you, and that's part of being a school business official, is being in the background, because we're always looking forward for our students and our teaching staff and our campus staff. So as a school business official, to be in the background, that's just fine with us. So
thank you. That's all I have.
Any other discussion from the board? Okay, hearing none, I do want to open, this is a public hearing, so is there any discussion from the public? Anybody have a question that would want to ask one of these individuals tonight? All right, thank you. Oh, we have one coming. Hi, Reagan.
It's really just a quick question, because when I was listening to like the top 4 districts that pay back, I was just wondering, like, what's the per capita, like between Midland and Austin? Like, they have more people, but we're in the top 4, so I was wondering, like, what's our, just seems heavy.
It is. Yeah.
I don't even know if that's accurate.
Yeah, I think Dr. Ramsey mentioned that would be something we would have to work on to get a number to see based on our populations.
Mostly with property taxes, not.
it's based on property value per student, and so, we are in the top 4. You have Pecos School District over here that has 3,000 students that pay roughly about $110 million a year also. So it's property wealth per student is how that is figured, and once you reach a certain level, then the state feels you have excess revenue.
A lot of that too, Mr. Murray, is based off of, as Mr. Dawes had mentioned, the production, that a lot of the oil industry or oil towns in Pecos is one of those areas that have increased a lot in production as far as oil production. And that's why they're sending a ton of money back to the state based on the oil and gas production that they're making versus the number of students ratio versus their property tax value. So that's increasing as we speak, versus with the oil price increase, they'll probably be sending even more on the next year.
Ms. Martinez?
That is everything we have, if that's all of the questions. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. We will close the public hearing at 6:23 and move on to agenda item 7, which are district reports, report only. We have 7A superintendent update, 7B board committee report, 7C innovation update, 7D financial update, 7E staffing update. Board, do we have any questions of these staff members? Moving on to agenda item 8, which are discussion action items. Item A, academic update and board goals. And we will see Mr. Horner and Ms. Lopez with Ms.
A
Torres.
team joining me. Evening again, President Murray, trustees, Dr. Ramsey. Our academic update on Lone Star governance tonight addresses mid-year data related to Goal 4, which is very specific to graduation rate. Specifically, we're reviewing progress towards Goal Progress Measures 4.2 and 4.3. Goal Progress Measure 4.2 measures first-year ninth grade students earning 6 or more credits. The end-of-year target is 85%, and our mid-year assessment using semester credits reflects that we are at 80%. Goal Progress Measure 4.3 addresses first-year 10th graders. You may recall that initially during Lone Star governance, we only addressed 9th grade credits, but we saw such a significant impact that monitoring credits and the work behind that had on graduation rate that we, last year, the board approved, adding this same goal for 10th graders. So when you see second-year high school students, we are referring to first-time 10th graders. So the first-time 10th graders, we're looking at gaining another 6 credits. So our goal for earning 6 or more credits at the end of the year is to go from 75% to 81%. The annual target for this year is 79%. Our actual at using 3 credits at semester is 68%. Here to address forward thinking and planning, I'd like to introduce to you LLI Director Claudia Valenzuela.
President Murray, Dr. Ramsey, Board of Trustees, and Mr. Pound. Good evening. I am Claudia Valenzuela. I'm one of the directors for LLI. Campuses are continuously working to ensure that they are incorporating best practices and strategies to support students with credit recovery and staying on track for graduation. Campus strategies. All secondary campuses have strategies that they are implementing to support students. Ms. Shannon Torres, principal at Legacy High School, will be discussing some of the strategies she is currently using at her campus. Data accountability. Counselors and assistant principals are continuously tracking data over grades and attendance. Based on this data, counselors and assistant principals are having candid conversations with individual students to support them and put interventions in place such as tutoring, night school, and Saturday school. Master schedule changes. We are leveraging the master schedule through schedule changes at the end of the first semester to help students recover credits on A+ or retaking the classes based on the needs of individual students. Intersession and summer intersession. During the fall and spring intersession, campuses used data and strategically invited students to make up hours for loss of credit or improve low grades. In addition, summer intersession will also be utilized for students to recover loss of credit and make up missing credits. Okay? As we continue to explore best practices and innovative ways to support students, a team of district and campus leaders are exploring and gathering information on new strategies from different school districts to adapt these strategies to further assist our targets in meeting the board goals. Thank you for your attention, and now I will pass it over to Ms. Shannon Torres.
Hi, good evening. Dr. Ramsey, Board President Murray, trustees, and Mr. Pounds. I'm Shannon Torres, principal at Legacy High. Thank you for allowing me to come and speak on what Legacy High is doing to help reach our progress measures and ultimately improve our graduation rate. I want to start off by saying that credit recovery really is a mindset. The way we think about it is, if not now, then how? We realize that kids move at different paces. We realize that they don't get credits for different reasons. And we also assume the responsibility that it's still our responsibility to make sure they graduate. Our first line of defense is excellent Tier 1 teaching. We have our teachers use CFAs, our common assessments, products in the classroom to determine what our kids need and reteach strategies daily. One other opportunity we have is the 6 weeks grade recovery. This is where once a kid fails for the 6 weeks, we give them options to recover that grade before they end up losing credit for the semester. This is all teacher-driven and teacher-created, so each plan may differ depending on what teacher you have. The third thing that we have is A+. It's a traditional credit recovery system. It's all online. Students are assigned a course if they fail, and they're either put in during a class period or they come to night school to complete that program. A new option that we started out last year is a teacher-created recovery program.
I am most proud of this because I believe our teachers know best what our students need, and they have put in so much work to develop it. Our teams align the credit recovery program to our essential standards. They build the program, they meet the needs of our students, and they're able to provide the continued support through the program. Right now, we currently have geometry, algebra 2, and biology. Along with all of those, we really have used intercession to focus on credit recovery. During the spring intercession, we offer the traditional A+ credit recovery program, but we also offer geometry, algebra 2, biology, and chemistry, all taught by our amazing teachers, and it was all teacher-created. We will continue our efforts through summer intercession, and we are on track to meet the progress measure. But while I'm up here, I just wanted to give a shout out to my teachers who really took this on and created their own program. They've worked through the issues, and they're there to support kids. Any questions?
Ms. Joyner.
Go ahead.
Okay, so just bear with me. I'm not sure I completely understand how our end-of-course exams and then what measures up to a credit. Is it half a credit for the first semester, half a credit for the second semester, and you have to maintain higher than a 70 average?
Yes, ma'am. So credits are given by semester. So
Okay.
they can earn 0.5 credit for each course by semester. So if we want them to have 6, we want them to have at least 3 by the time semester 1 ends.
Okay, and so when we're talking about credit recovery, that means that you guys have identified in the first 6 weeks, second 6 weeks, that based on what they made in their average, if you made a 50 average, you're not probably on track to make that up unless you work on your credit recovery through. And so then how does the end of course exam measure in? That's just part of the final average?
The end of course exam is just a graduation requirement. It does not have a grade that is tied to it. So so as far as a transcript and grade, it comes directly from the course. The exam is just an additional thing they have to get past to graduate.
Okay, so it doesn't count towards your final. It's not like finals.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that for me.
You mentioned something about night school. So are they just taking it online? Is that referred to night school?
Right.
Or they actually coming to the campus?
We have them come to campus, and so we have teachers that are available at our campus from 4:30 to 6:30 or 7. We stay later the further in the semester and the more sense of urgency we get, but kids will come to campus to complete those courses online.
So just something else to throw out, and I had brought this up a long time ago, but and I don't even know if our busing system, our public busing system is still how functioning it's been, but before when they were running the routes, one of the things that I brought up, and it's been a while back, but how eventually, as big of a town we are, that kids could get some type of credit or something that they could get on a bus, and one of those buses that runs in town, and it could go to school in the evening and then go back home without having to.
We do work with individual kids that need transportation at night and that are staying. Our Communities in School tries to help coordinate that. So if there's a student that really wants to be there, we'll find a way home for them to.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
I move to approve the information submitted in the academic update for goal progress measures 4.2 and 4.3.
I have a motion by Mr. Teschetti, a second by Mr. Bishop. Any other discussion? All in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Thank you. It's unanimous. Thank you, team. The next item on the agenda is item 8B, Proclamation 2022 Health and Physical Education Curriculum and Materials. Mr. Horner, are you staying up?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you again, trustees, for this time. We're presenting tonight the recommendation for district adoption of health and physical education instructional materials. Almost every year, the State Board of Education puts out what they discuss, what TEA calls a proclamation, and that proclamation is specific to, get into our slides, I'm sorry, jumped right into it. Our proclamation is specific this year to health and physical education for grades K through 12. This action item is in culmination of activities taken by district and campus staff, and upon approval, materials will be purchased using the instructional materials funds through the regular budget process. Tonight, we have Amanda Lopez, Director of Health, PE, and Athletics, to take you through how we've gone through the selection processes and their recommendations.
Good evening, President Murray, trustees, Dr. Ramsey, and Mr. Pounds. As we began the process, 2 selection committees were formed and represented by elementary PE and health teachers and junior high and high school health and PE teachers. These selection committees began work in the fall of 2022, and since that time, the committees convened multiple times. Sessions created the opportunity for committee members to gain confidence using the rubric used to evaluate materials. The committees met in January for an in-depth study of the content and alignment to the standards. This process, led by committee members and facilitated by myself, continued at the campus and district levels. On January 26th, the district hosted an instructional materials publisher's presentation for committee members. Materials were also posted to the Midland ISD website for review. In addition, opportunities for review and consideration were provided through office hours to remaining teachers and administrators. Finally, the School Health Advisory Committee, otherwise known as SHAC, was presented with all materials for review and consideration. Based on regulation, 2/3 of the committee must agree on the choice. The first round of voting began in January. The Committee for Grades K through 6, Health and PE, unanimously selected Quaver Ed as the recommendation to the board. Quaver Ed is 100% TEKS aligned. The Committee for Grades 7 through 12, Health and PE, unanimously selected Goodhart-Wilcox as the recommendation to the board. Goodhart-Wilcox is also 100% TEKS aligned. Pending approval, we plan to purchase and roll out the materials in the 2022-2023 school year. Professional development will be provided for PE and health teachers, district in-service days in August, which will be to be determined, in-person and/or virtual training supported by the publishers, and training with the 2022 TEKS and new materials.
Mr. Horner, just as a clarification, if you'll go back to maybe the second slide, the 2 selection, the committees formed, just in case someone from the public is there, or the committee, just the work began in fall of 2021, I'm assuming.
Yes, sir.
Let's give them credit for the time that they put in, but with that clarification, I move to approve K-12 health and PE instructional materials recommended by the committees. Caught myself.
A motion by Mr. Trischetti, a second by Mr. Booker. Any other discussion? All in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Lopez. Item 8D, 2022-2023 Early College High School Calendar. Mr. Horner.
President Murray, I'm only going to stay here to introduce Principal Renee Aldrin, our Early College High School principal at Midland College.
We need to provide Mr. Horner a microphone so he can have it at his seat next time.
Good evening, President Murray, trustees, Dr. Ramsey, Mr. Pounds. Thank you for this time, just giving me an opportunity to talk about our calendar. I do appreciate the fact that y'all approved the calendar last year. The calendar that you have before you is aligned and meets all of the Texas Education Agency requirements, and it does correlate with the Midland College calendar, which sets our students up for success, because when Midland College has classes, early college high school students have classes. So our calendar is a 9-week calendar. Midland College, as y'all know, and we're told recently, moved to a 9-week or 8-week courses. This aligns, we're ending our 9 weeks at the same time they're ending their 8 weeks, which makes things flow very easily. My teachers will have 187 work days. We have the 80,735 minutes. What's required is 75,600 minutes. I did try to align as much as I could with our calendar, with the MISD calendar. So early college high school teachers will begin at the same time that the other MISD teachers will this year, which will allow my teachers to participate in the district professional development. We're excited about that. We also made the bad weather makeup days the same as the rest of MISDs, so that helps parents also, and we're not a little bit different there. Just a note on the side is our calendar incorporates our TSI and Credit Recovery Summer School for my teachers, so they're on contract during that time with my calendars. Under the blueprint, we are required to offer TSI Summer School for 9th through 12th grade and then a summer bridge for incoming 9th grade. My teachers are on contract to provide that for all of our students.
Are those the days after Memorial Day is what you're referring to, the 30th
Yes.
and 31st
Yes.
of May? Okay, thank you.
Other questions?
This body is uniquely aware of the challenges of building a calendar, so we appreciate your work. I would move. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I move.
Second.
Favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Thank you. It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Aldrin. The last action item is item 8D, TASB Risk Management Fund Interlocal Participation Agreement, and I do see Mr. Bailey coming, so we're not going to let Mr. Horner speak this time.
President Murray, board members, Superintendent Ramsey, we've provided information. This is a renewal for the Texas Association of School Boards Risk Management Fund. All the information is provided in the packet, as well as some clarity on the changes to the agreement on pages 2 and 3 of the frequently asked questions. Nothing really.
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. Gischetti, a second by Mr. Bishop. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Thank you. It's unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Bailey. Okay, the time is now 6:43, and the board will move into closed session in accordance with Government Code Section 551.071 for the purpose of private consultation with the board's attorney on any or all subject matters authorized by law, and Section 551.074 for the purpose of considering the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee, or to hear complaints or charges against the public officer or employee. There will be items of action when we come out of executive session, just to vote in some of these contracts. So thank you, and we will be back shortly. The time is now 8:05, and the board is emerging from closed session. The next item on the agenda is item 10, actions arising from closed session. A, discussion and possible approval of employee contract renewals and extensions, and authorize superintendent to issue contracts.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Gischetti, a second by Mr. Marquez. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. It's unanimous. Thank you. The time is now 8:06, and we are adjourned.